Good morning, everybody. Ata Marie, um, kia ora koutou. Um, ko Pete Lead toku Kenawa. I'm Pete Lead. I am the startup coach at Startup Dunedin. I'm very excited to welcome you all here on a drizzly Otipoti morning. It's quite a grey morning, grey and dark morning here in Dunedin. Um, Let us know in the chat where you are and what the weather is like. This morning, we are talking about letting the machines help you. I guess we've called it AI DIY, but we're going to dig into things like using a digital second brain, as well as how to personalize ChatGPT and make it work better for you. Keen to hear in the chat what it is that you would love to get out of this morning's session. I am your audience stand-in, so I will be monitoring the chat and asking Becky lots of questions throughout the session. Very excited to have Becky Fox here with us this morning, who is going to be talking us through things that this isn't like you know, a workshop where it's like, here is all this ethereal stuff that you could do. This is Becky's actual workflow and actual process. So, Becky, I'm going to throw over to you in a moment and let you introduce yourself, but I'm super excited to have you here. And thank you. Welcome, Becky Fox.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Yeah, thanks so much for joining so early before work. So yeah, today is going to be very open, very flexible. So if there's things that I talk about and you want a little bit more detail, please do comment in the chat and Pete will then pick it up and let me know. And yeah, so we're going to kick off first of all. We're going to dive into probably some chat stuff towards the end. And the first part, we're going to lean into building a digital second brain. And I'm going to run through some actual live templates. So if you're thinking about developing one, whether it's personally or professionally, I'll give two examples. So let me just first of all kick off with a bit of context. So, right. Okay, you can see it's all good, Pete. You can see it, yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
no
Okay,
worries.
so building a second brain. So in this session, there's a couple of things that we're just going to briefly go over. The first is just understanding why we need a second brain, like what the issue is around even developing one in the first place. The next part is obviously what is a second brain, so diving into a little bit more detail there. We're going to look at a personal second brain, so how you can use it for optimizing your life. And we're going to also look at potentially like a professional use of it, but both will have really good examples for ways that you can then integrate it into either one. So just a little bit about me for context. I'm a purpose-driven entrepreneur, so my background's in helping build and scale businesses that make money, but also have impact. I do a lot of mentoring and consulting around this. I love helping out with people like business mentors and Startup Dunedin. But one of my problems is I have a lot of chronic illnesses that are really frustrating. And I'm also quite dyslexic. So this is where the second brain initially started to really help. So if I do start to muddle up my words or say strange things, now you know why. So why we need a second brain, other than, if you have dyslexia like me and you might find it a bit more helpful. One of the issues is that our brain is really fantastic at coming up with ideas, but it's terrible at remembering things. So when you have a thought or you have a to-do list or things that you want to action, they end up sitting in our brain and just taking up a lot of space, which means like we end up feeling quite stressed out. You can feel quite overwhelmed with how much there is to do. It also can limit, obviously, new thoughts and things popping in. So yeah, all these unfinished tasks end up occupying our mind. We feel very stressed and overwhelmed. And then this can lead to procrastination and motivation issues, because sometimes when there's a lot of things that need to be done, it can be quite intimidating and overwhelming. It reduces our creativity then to be able to open up and do new things. As an entrepreneur, this is quite important for me to be able to have the space to think up new things. And also a second brain helps to consolidate our ideas, to be able to link them together, and then to be able to share information. So either sharing information across platforms and integrating things, or sharing with external people and external parties. And again, if you do have any questions at any point, do pop them down. And then Pete, you can always just butt in and let me know what's there.
I sure will.
So what is a second brain? Now, second brains can look different for different people, but fundamentally, they're just a personal digital knowledge based system. I mean, you could have an analog version where you just have filing cabinets and storing everything. But it's just a way to be able to consolidate all your ideas, whether it to be to-do list, tasks, future ideas, information, and to be able to efficiently get through it. So basically, you're not walking around with everything up here. You've mentally downloaded it somewhere else. So you know you can always access that. And then obviously the benefits of having a second brain and having this system that you've built is to be able to capture and retrieve knowledge really easily. I think that's the big thing. It's not just the capturing, but to be able to go back to it and actually be able to access it. To then be able to organize and structure and see new linking between things, and less stress, a much clearer mind, reduced procrastination, and much more improved creativity. So these things are really important for me to be able to operate at the sort of the level that I want to be operating at professionally and personally.
Becky, you're probably going to get into an example, but with when you talk about there, like linking and connecting information, do you have an example, either from your work or just to help
Mm,
us kind of give us a
yeah,
concrete picture of what that might look like?
yeah. So potentially if you had different different tasks simultaneously going on, yeah, I think probably best if I show some examples. That will
Yeah,
probably really, really help. And I'll get to that in a second, then it already helps.
awesome.
If we think about the differences between like the two different systems that we used to have if we're capturing information, we've got an analog system and this is the digital system. So Tech Week, I'm going to lean more into looking at the digital side of things. So analog is obviously just lots of to-do lists. So this is where I used to be, lots of diaries and things, just sort of like writing everything out, carrying something around with me. These are really, really useful. But I think just as the initial stage, because it can be quite hard later to retrieve that information. It gets really disorganized and really overwhelmed very quickly. There's no sense of scale or scope of how big things are. It's very hard to link ideas in here. So for example, like Pete was saying, if you did have a creative idea on one page or a to-do list, and then later you had something and you thought, oh, actually what that person said is related to this thing, it's very hard to make a note to go back and actually cross transfer that information. There's no backup. If I lose this, it's gone. And it's quite space consuming. Like personally, if you're a creative person or you're a busy person and you have lots going on, it can become quite overwhelming with how many notebooks you end up carrying around with you. So the analog system, the second brain system, it's automated. It's not going to say automation, so automated. You can keep it updated very, very easily. It's very organized. It's very easy to search and retrieve information, which I love. It's interconnected, so not only can you link bits of information together, but if there are particular apps that you like to use for other systems that you have, you can link them very easily. So maybe you use something like Figma or Miro or documents, you can pop that into, you can back it up so it's not going to get lost, and you can also then access it from anywhere, and there's basically endless amounts of space. I haven't had a problem there yet. So yeah, we're going to go from looking like this to actually diving in and having a look what a second brain looks like. So actually in the chat, can I have a quick, has anybody used or seen Notion before? That would actually give me a real good sense of sort of where we're at. So are there any people that have a second brain already or that use Notion?
I've got one no, one yes. I see a thumb up. Yeah, using the reaction emojis. Thank you, Dara.
Amazing. And if you are using Notion, then what capacity, what sort of things are you using it for? Are you sort of just like to-do lists? Are you quite detailed? Because hopefully then what I can do as well, I'll go into a few more things in a bit more detail. So while you guys are doing that, I'll kick off and we'll have a look at a second brain template. I'll give you the overview of what the template looks like, and then I'll dive into how you can actually start building one yourself. So don't, at first it will look, there's quite a lot here. I'll just pop that to the side.
Some answers in terms of how people are using it. So yeah, to-do list.
Yep.
Tested it for a CRM, customer
Oh,
relationship
yep.
management.
Yep.
So
Great.
using it
Yep.
as a database. And then yeah, other people are saying they haven't used it. So
Great. Awesome. Yeah. So this is basically, I think a lot of people either haven't used it or they might use it for individual things. And this is just a way to think about it differently if you are using it, of consolidating everything together, both like those to-do lists and the CRM, they can all exist in one sort of second brain. If you work for yourself, if you work for somebody else, or you work with other people, you can build an individual company second brain.
one other answer that just came in that speaks to that, and I guess a benefit of the second brain, use it for a CRM for internal document depository and for clients to proof. So I guess a
Yeah.
benefit of being digital is that other people can access it.
The one amazing thing with building a second brain on a platform like Notion is all I need to do, like this whole database here that we're going to walk through, is one of the amazing things. All I need to do is press share, and I can copy this URL, and I'll pop this in the, I'll pop it in so we don't get distracted, but I'll send these templates at the end, and you can then see and access all of this as if it's a web page. You can duplicate it and then keep a copy for yourself so you can edit it. And then if you had teams that you wanted to invite in, you could actually add them as guests and then they could participate and edit things as well. So there's different ways that you can actually then present and share the information. So yeah, this is what a final version potentially might look like. And the amazing thing with Notion is it's 100% customizable and personal. And I'll go through that towards the end. This is just how I have mine laid out, but it doesn't mean that you have to have your second brain laid out like this at all. So one of the simplest ways that I love to use Notion is something, just a very simple Kanban board. So you might have used software like Monday or Asana or Trello. You can easily create those types of things inside Notion and just very, very easily move things around different stages. So
For anyone who hasn't heard the term Kanban board, Becky,
yeah,
do you want to define that for us, or I'm happy to have a
how would
go?
you define a Kanban board?
So a Kanban board is, I guess, the simplest way is like a task or a project management tool.
Yes.
And as you can see on the screen, you have different columns which talk about the status of particular tasks or particular projects. So, whether they're not yet done, but you want to get them out of your brain or get them down as things that need to do, move them into things that are in progress or things that are up next, things that are in progress, and things that are blocked or waiting, and things that are done. And if you go back to the origins of Kanban, which I don't know if this is Agile or Prince 2,
Mm.
but the idea is that you've got a limit of the number of things that are actually in progress. So let's say you only ever have three things that you're focused on right now, and everything else is either waiting or it's done or it's to come up in the future. So it's a way of, yeah, prioritizing and managing the overwhelm.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't heard it put like that before, but definitely, I think I have a bucket here called waiting, and I have a bucket future ideas, because they're things, I think it's important sometimes to only be working on a couple of things at any given time, like Pete said, but having a space where you can still put down all those future actions that you still want to be able to take place, or that are in holding for maybe some type of other approval or something. So again, the great thing with Notion is that you can customize these boards however you like. So if I click on here, you can see the different properties I've given it. I've given it a tag, so that's the future ideas bucket. So they'd be holding, ready to go. I've given it a priority. I can remove it and delete it if I want. and I can just add endless different types of properties down here. You've actually got AI as well to be able to help you with that. So mainly the different types, sort of settings that you can add are text. So I could add more information. I could add numbers. I could add people if I had team members on there. I could add attached files or media or things. So that's just the actual setting of what the Kanban board would look like. I can actually view also the Kanban board in a different style. So at its heart, Notion is just sort of databases within databases. So if you had an Excel spreadsheet and you put some information into one of the cells, but then you wanted to add more information to that cell and you just wanted to go deeper and then deeper and deeper, you can continually just add cells within cells within cells, basically. And so this is the same exact board, basically, just in a different view. So you can see that I've got the name of the task I've just called, because you can see here the name of the task. I've just put some examples, add task here, add task here, add task here. So I've got the name of the task. I've got the tag, which is what I'm sorting it by on the Kanban board. And I've added a priority section, and I've added whether or not I want to remove it, say if it's done. And if you want to continue to add different options, there are so many different things down here that you can add. Again, that get way more complex. And as we go through, we're going to start to see how some of these actually can really help us automate and display and update things for us. And then this is, again, what you might see on an Excel board where you just have just a row of columns, rows and columns and your individual cells. But the thing that this does is the initial one, the title of the cell, you can open it. And then within here, if I wanted to, I could add another database. And then I could add inside here, if I wanted to, I could add another database. And it just sort of goes into sort of a what's that movie, Inception, dream within dreams sort of concept. But the great thing here is you can then start to have tasks, in your life where potentially there's a project, which is a big overarching thing. And then within that project, you can click on it and there are tasks. And this is where the linking comes into play. You can display how the tasks are doing. And so we'll have a look at that in a sec as well. So you could have it if you wanted to. You could also change this, and it gives you the option here. I could have it as a timeline view. So if I had dates on things, it would show me as a timeline. I could have it as a calendar view. So again, it would pop up as to when something needed to take place or when it was due. I could just have it as a very simple list. So that's how Notion really gets very powerful, is being able to personalize it. And that's why it's a personal second brain, because it's up to you how you want to use it. My husband's one looks very, very different to mine.
So if someone wanted to start, I mean, this list view looks like a good way to just do a brain dump of here's all the stuff I've got in my head. I need to do this. I need to do this. This is on my mind. And then you could come in and start adding those other details later of,
I
okay, this
think,
is when it needs to be done by.
yeah.
This is, yeah.
Oh dear, I've gone and deleted that. I think the best place to start, if you're building one up, is to start with a database. So in Notion, to be building anything, the first thing you can do is just backslash, so just general sort of code style, and it will just give you all the different options of things that you can embed. This is where it gets, again, very powerful with all the different things that you can integrate and link. There's just so many options. But database is really what you start with to be able to then display and organize information. And this, I think, is the easiest to start because it just looks like an Excel spreadsheet. And so you can put down the name of whatever it is that you are working on. So again, just a very general to-do list of everything, and just brain dump it all out. And then you can start to think, how do I want to organize this information? What do I want to, what things do I want to add to it? So maybe I do want to add the statuses or the properties. So maybe I want to add them, how important it is. And I can pop that in there. And at the moment, we can see, though, that importance, edit property, you can have it as so many different things. You can have it as a multi-select, a select, which just means individual rather than being able to select lots of things. Status, so it already has things for you, whether it's to do, done. So status, if I clicked it, it already has some pre-filled for me. Edit property. I can go back to select is quite an easy one, and it already is giving me a couple of options to pre-fill. So this is where Notion's got quite clever with AI, is that it's integrating pre-fills, whereas when I first started using it, none of this was here, so we had to do everything. So if I just go yes, just pre-fill it, then when I click here, I can decide, and I can just click if it's started, not started. If I want to edit these though, I can literally just delete it and go, you know, bananas or something, and change it, and then change the color. It's completely up to you what you want to write and what you want to put.
I think you've just really confused the AI by
Yes, yeah,
adding bananas as
it'd
an
be like
importance option.
a machine learning of like, so yeah, so Kanban boards I think are really nice places to start as well, or just starting with a very, very simple initial board. So we will go back to my, oh
If you
dear.
have any questions or comments, please do put them in the chat.
Yeah, and sorry, if some of this does go a little bit, you know, there's a range of stuff here. So some of it might be a bit like, what are you talking about? Some might seem quite simple, but I'm going to share this template. So afterwards you can have a complete play around with it and dive into the things I think that you find particularly useful or helpful. So Simple Brain Business Planner, I like to use the Kanban boards and that system for most of my stuff. That's just how my brain works. But I've also got here, let's have a look. I've got like a life admin section that I've made, and this one I've done it a little bit differently. So you can see I've just popped here a place where you can capture potential new things that are coming up, and then a place to display information. And again, you can just delete things if they're not helpful. So I've got projects that need to be done now, where I need to actually start actioning them. Things that are actually due now, because sometimes there's a difference between those things. And then all projects, and then the calendar as well. So this is the same board presented in just different ways. So what I've just done is I've created this initial database here, and then all I've done is I've just duplicated it and then changed the settings. So the next thing that's really great about it is on here you can see that there's a little filter. So this board is the exact same board as this one and this one and this one down here. But I've just put a different filter on here to say that I want it, that it's talking about things that are to do with the life admin, and that the due days are going to be less than 0, which means like it's I need to do it right now. And you can see here that the due date I put as, you know, ages ago, which means it'll be it will be way overdue. And so that's why it's coming up here. If I change that date to, you know, what's the date? It is now May 24.
2024, you're in the wrong year.
Oh, 2024. Oh my God. May 2024. So where are we? We're here.
That's March.
Oh
Go
my
forward.
God. There you go. This is red, so I can see it. So I've changed it. And if I change it to tomorrow, or maybe it's getting confused because I've got it on. Oh, here you go. No, due date and due date. So I've got different ones on here, and that's why they're popping up. So if I change the due date to another date, then it would automatically just kind of move out of that area for me. So you can place filters on things, so you can show different information at different stages. This one here has no filter. I think it just has things that need to be done or that are in progress. I've filtered it so it's not showing things that I've completed. So if I click done, it'll disappear. And I'll just undo and bring it back. So filters are really, really great at them being able to organize that information a little bit clearer for us. Same with this one.
So we've got a question in the chat, Becky. Looks like a great organizational tool. Where does the AI come in?
So the AI, so in this session here, we're going to mix it up between the two. So on the description, we're going through the second brain of how to integrate that. And then we're going to dive into using some of the newer extensions of ChatGPT to be able to also be sort of leveling up your own personal knowledge and way that you can do that. And so Notion as well has that AI feature that I'll show. So you can link that too. So yeah, a bit of a mix of session here for everybody
So
today.
coming soon, Greg. Coming soon.
Um,
Um, so if you mentioned before, like linking different information. So imagine, if
yeah,
you're going into a meeting or something,
yeah.
you could just take notes in Notion that relate to something.
Yeah, you could do, yeah. So this is a good example of linking information here, and I'll go on to, and then I think what I'll do is I'll cut across to the other, the sort of professional second brain, and then I will dive into some chat stuff. So this one here is a database, like a daily habit tracker, that you might want to be using. So you can pop in, the habit that you did today. So maybe I went for a morning run, and today's date, I pop it in. And then what it will do is it will then start to link and count for me the amount of things that I've been doing in a particular amount of time. And so that's really handy, where this is a different database to this one, but what it's doing inside this one here is you can see that it's linking those relations between the two databases, and they're counting and consolidating the information for me as a roll up, so I can count all the different things between information. So that's a really handy way to link between things. And then we'll dive into, I think the meeting one's quite interesting. So this is another way that you can sort of use a second brain, is building one for your company. So it's almost like a sort of intranet for everybody and different things that you might need. So if you're a small company and you don't want to be paying tons of money for a big CRM, Notion is amazing because the base is free. And then if you want to add loads of different team members, then you can start paying. But if you just want a intranet base where people can come to, you can then create one and share it quite easily. So one of the big things, so if I go onto here, I've created like an operating procedures. This is where you can start linking different things. So if we go on health and safety, you can see one of the things I've put down here, whether the document, this is where I think it gets amazing, is that in things like operating procedures or in our personal life, stuff gets really easily outdated. This is now coded, so this is where some of the more techie stuff comes into play, to tell me whether the document is up to date, update is due, or overdue. So if I've made something like a health and safety document, I've have it so the status is showing it's red, it's overdue. And so sometimes I think with SOPs, they can easily get very dusty. This is really, really great. So if I click on it, you can see the status here is overdue. And the way this is done is you can actually then, if you're quite a techie person, you can actually start putting and playing with some code into your databases, which again, I don't think Excel can do, or things. So this literally just says, if the days for this, when it's due is under 0, then show red. If it's, between 30, then show orange, meaning I've got 30 days in which before it becomes outdated. And if anything over 30, then just show that it's due, and anything else, then show red. So that's quite simple, I think, in terms of the code that it can do. And you can have things now, this is what you can also integrate the things like AI to be able to then automatically help come and update these things for you.
I
So
do want to see if ChatGPT can write that formula for you.
yes, it definitely would. So one of the things what I'm going to do in a sec is use this and then show you some of the things that chat can do to help you bypass all the learning of how to do. Because previously, when I started building my second brain, it was very much trial and error, a lot of YouTubing and a lot of reading blogs and things. Whereas now we don't need to do that. And to be able to do this, all I need to do is just put a picture into chat and then have chat read the picture and tell me what to do. So I'll just go through that in a second. Probably we'll use this as an example and see if it can stand up to the test. So this is just like a basic health and safety document that I put together. And under here, you can just, put different things that are important. But this is where the linking becomes amazing, is you can see that, how we plan and review a health and safety plan. Usually you would have in an SOP or an EAP, see something, quite important. And if you're not doing this within a company, these are also things that you can do personally in your to-do list and in your notes, is linking these documents together. So under here, I have another page, the risk assessment. All you need to do is just click an @ and then you can search and find a page that you want to link, so you can go through more and find them all. and just link pages together so you can see them. And you can go through and you can tag employees, you can give them descriptions and things. So yeah, it gets this is where the databases and databases is really, really helpful. And it's just these documents just talking to each other. Human resources, you've got things like roles and responsibilities. This is quite a handy one. So you can put down job titles, and so you can see the job title, and maybe within here you actually have like a job description for that job title. And then you can put who is actually in that job title. You can add like which department that they're in. You can add their responsibilities. And so then when you're on a different document, that person will automatically potentially pop up. If they are tagged as the health and safety rep, then it will say our health and safety rep is that person. And so once you update one thing, it will automatically, all the other documents will automatically update. And again, this is the exact same document. It's just Notion. So whether you want to use it for these kind of more boring documents, or you want to be using it for your own systems, they're really great. So let's have a look at then how we can level up our game by using some chat systems as well. So say if you did want to be building a second brain and there's a lot going on and you're not sure where to start, or you've maybe built a file and you're like, okay, how do we get this to turn red? What would the code be? So I'm just going to print this screen here and we're going to go into chat. So I'm going to say, this is my Notion board. What have I got? So it's our status. I want the status symbol to show red when what have we called it? We've called it like the update due is overdue. When update due is overdue, and I want it to show green when what else we got? Update due, updated by, oh yeah, so when the update due is on track. And then I'm going to take my screenshot and we'll pop it into here. And I'm going to say, give me some code that I can input to display this. So I don't know if anybody's got the new chat, which is ChatGPT 4.0, I think, right? Is it 0 or O? I'm not sure. You can give it pictures. And I've been finding this so helpful because I've been editing my website this week and I've been getting stuck with things that just aren't working. And so instead of just sitting on like, customer support of like, why is this not going on, or trying to find YouTube videos, I've been able to just screenshot the problem that I'm experiencing in that moment and throw it into chat and say, why is this not working? And then chat can look at the image and actually see where I am and see the different options and what I'm potentially doing wrong. And yeah, so here you go. So to achieve this notion, here's a step-by-step guide, status symbol formula, copy and paste it in. Yeah, so really, really nice and really easy for chat to be able to get into that. I wonder if I can find previous 7 days, the one where, I don't know where I went through with my...
So just in case this is anyone's first exposure to ChatGPT, I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure they've heard
sorry,
the name
going
and
into the
they've been
deep end.
hearing about it for the last couple of year and a half, whatever it is. Can you talk us
Yeah.
through what we're seeing here?
So
ChatGPT.
chats, let's have a look. Throw in this chat, who is using chat already. Just put yes, no.
We'll use the reaction emojis.
Mhm.
Yep, so a couple of people saying yes, we've got thumbs up.
Any no's? Anyone who hasn't seen or used it?
Just started this week.
Oh, amazing. Great. You're in for a, a fun ride.
Cool. This
Great.
is this is the second time I've seen ChatGPT in action.
Pete, where have you been? Okay. So chat, I'm not a super techie person, but chat is just a machine learning, but language. So it predicts the next word. So it's not like an uber amazing machine that has its own consciousness or understanding of deep problems. It just has the ability to be able to predict the next words, and it's been fed so much information on so many different things that it's pretty accurate. But you do want to double check things sometimes. So most of the time, I think a lot of people will use chat to help with writing and things, but there's a lot of other really awesome things that we can get chat to use for and to actually make it work a little bit better. So there's the very first model that came out, I think, was ChatGPT 3. There's ChatGPT 4, and now there's 4.0. So it's just kind of gone up and up and up, and the depths of what it can do have just exponentially increased. So if you do use chat, can you throw in this conversation here, what you use it for at the moment, and do you use it quite regularly? So here, if you do log on to chat, for anyone who's just started using it this week, there's so many different options that you can talk to it about. And I like to think of it as just a complete personal assistant who has access to so many things that I don't, where it can teach me, it can support me, it can inspire me. And so if I get to the stage where I'm thinking about something for too long, I can actually stop and just go on and talk to ChatGPT about it. So one thing you might want to do is we'll use a really simple example where potentially you need to just write an email to somebody. So help me write an email to my boss, telling him that I want to quit, but phrase it in a friendly way so that he doesn't hate me. All right, so just something really, really simple. And then what we're going to do, we're going to start layering some things on. So here's something here, that you can go through. So you might already have some text that you've written for something, a report, an email, some inspiration, and it's going to churn you out with something. Now, the issue people find, I think, when I talk to them about ChatGPT is that they always say that when they're finding it useful for inspiration, but what happens is sometimes the information that it comes out with sometimes be a bit corny or not that helpful, or quite generic. And so you can then obviously change this, and you can say to it, okay, rewrite in the style of Donald Trump or something, so you can add some context to like how you want it to sound, and it will go through and edit it for you. You can say rewrite as a poem, and so it just keeps going, and then you can put things together. But this is only quite surface level because it's using the information that it had previously, but it doesn't have much context or much information. So the power with chat really comes when you can preload it with tons and tons of information up front, and then you can go into all the details. So one thing that I like to do, sorry, any questions, Pete? You good?
No questions yet. People have answered your question as to what they're using it
Oh yeah,
for.
yeah. Let's have a look.
So legal templates, summarizing documents,
Yeah,
scripting sales letters,
yeah.
research ideas for policy development,
Mm,
general stuff, code fixes, blog post ideas, etc.
yeah,
Building a website, doing
yeah,
product validation, and summarization.
yeah, yeah. Amazing. Yeah, really great. I'm thinking if we have a look at so if we were going to put together something like a sales letter, we can just write down here some information. But the more information we can give it, first of all, the better. So if we go online, and maybe I'll use YouTube as an example. Oh, there you go. It's listen to me. So let's take this email right, this YouTube video right here. So this YouTube video for anyone is titled "How to Sell Your Way to 10,000." It's a sales masterclass. So there's going to be some really good information in here, hopefully. But I don't want to sit and watch 40 minutes of it. I want to be able to just use the information. So I'm going to just go on to here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is to use some alternative AI. This is a YouTube transcript piece of software. And I'm just going to paste in that URL. And it's going to give me the entire transcript of that video. There's plugins that you can have on YouTube as well that will do this for you, so you don't need to like go back and forth, but this is just a really easy one, youtubetranscript.com. I'm going to copy this entire transcript and I'm going to go over to chat, and I'm just going to make a new chat here. And I'm going to say, help me create the perfect sales letter, taking ideas from this. And now I can give it all of that information. I can give it 40 minutes worth of information and then pop it together. I could even ask it to consolidate that information for me. But again, the more information that we can give ChatGPT, the better. And then I can give it tones of people that I like. So I could go online as well, rather than say, write this in the style of Donald Trump, I can go and find videos of potential people that I find inspirational or very articulate. And then I can input this and say, this is the style that I like. Can you then help me with that? So it's gone through and it's broken down everything. You can then ask chat to come in and now, okay, now work as a mentor and help me through my sales issues, prompt and ask me questions, from what you know above. So again, like I can give it all of that information, and now I can ask it to actually like go through. It can come here. I can just say like, ask me one question at a time, and then let me respond. And so you can go back and forth and actually then just start using it, not just as a way to consolidate information, but actually have it help you level up and go back and forth. So you can do this just in the main chat here and just keep coming back and forth and going. But one of the great things is what chat has done now. How do I get it onto? Is it's made this thing called custom chats. So is anybody using the custom chats just yet?
Nope. I see one no, a few no's.
Yeah, so if you are someone who likes to use chat and you're using it for sort of regular things, so for me, there's a couple of different things I come to chat for. In particular, I help it with a lot of scripting, with content that I'm making, and then also I help it with a lot of business ideas, so maybe you want some validation, maybe you want some sales help or something. So they're going to be two very different ways of approaching things. And so rather than having to just constantly go back and forth between like different tabs, these are almost just like different web browsers. Every time you open a new web browser, it saves it. So it's just getting this backlog of different conversations that I've had. You can now actually just go on to ChatGPT's custom chats. Now it's made a ton for you, which is great. So you can go through and find ones that potentially, might be really, really helpful. So if you're writing blog posts, maybe a creative writing one. And so these have had pre-formatted templates almost put into them so that it will talk to you and it kind of knows what to do already. If you don't find ones on here that you like, you have the option now to create your own, which is really helpful. And it will help you create your own as well. So it will walk you through the process of actually how to create one. So what would you like to make? So I would like to make a business mentor for my new startup. And it will then go through and start asking you questions about like, great, how do I want how do you want the mentor to sound? What type of advice, do you want to be giving up advice? Let's come up for a name, like, sure, that's fine. And then once you've made it and once you've stored this person, now let's create a profile picture. Sure, it'll create one. So again, this is now also showing so many other things it can do. Chat can not only make conversations with you, but it's integrated with something called, actually no, D.I.Y was previous, but didn't really work that well. It can make images for you. So if you're like, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. I want a woman in her, 40s who has red curly hair on a unicorn. The thing I like about chat as well is if I make spelling mistakes, it doesn't really matter. It figures it out as well. So that's really helpful. So this is obviously we're making the profile picture, but if you did need to also just create a picture or get some inspiration for something, you can come on chat and actually now just talk to it and it will make you something. And if I'm like, great, but make it photo realistic, like I don't want it as a cartoon, I actually want a picture of a woman on a unicorn, then it can come in and do that for me too. So once you've got that configured while it's generating this picture for us, you save it, and then this custom chat will be there for you every time. There you go. So she's on a unicorn, looks great. Yes. And you can then come back to it every time and it knows the settings. So, should I emphasize? What should I avoid? What should I provide guidance on? It's going to prompt you all these different questions until you've formatted this custom chat. So it doesn't have to be a business mentor. It could be, again, a custom chat for helping you do your blog posts. It could be a custom sales chat. And then you can use things like the transcript, copy and paste it into here and say, this is the type of information that I want you to be recalling. This is the type of, you're the expert in this. And if we go back, so my ChatGPTs, it will just look like I've got, this is the one we just made. It will sit there and then you can click on it and then you can just, well, let me show you one that's been made because that will disappear. So I've got one to help me with script writing. Oh no, it's still there. You can just go ahead and actually just start talking to it, and it should prompt and talk to you in the way that you want to be spoken to. The other thing that, does anybody use, so we talked about it earlier a little bit when I used Notion. If anybody has to use Excel, does anybody use ChatGPT to help them with Excel? Because Excel, I mean, I don't use it that often, but sometimes Excel documents can be so helpful and Excel's so powerful, but it's a really hard thing sometimes to get things to link up and actually to work properly. And chat is incredible at helping you link different things together in Excel and write the information that you need to be able to do things, so.
So we've got some no's in the chat and a question. How can it help with Excel? So
Yeah. So let's say I have two spreadsheets, and in A A3 I have information, and I want to display this information in cell, I'm just going to put in H7. So whatever the problem is that you have, so it can get really, really complicated. And again, you can screenshot your Excel or copy the code and say, why is this not working? I want it to show this. How comes this isn't working properly? And it will not only churn out the code, but it will also walk you through the stages of what's actually happening, and what's actually working. So you can just copy the information across, and it's just so helpful because Excel gets really, really complicated. I was doing some VLOOKUPs the other day and it was just getting messy. And so when it wasn't actually churning out the information I wanted, I could copy the code and the error and give it to chat and help explain, like, why is this not showing? How do I get this to actually output in the way that I want? And again, if you are thinking about building a second brain, using the AI to then be able to actually help you build up this second brain in the way that you want it to display and use all the information that it has, all the abilities that it has, like the code, and the different ways that it can display chat. I mean, you could even make yourself a custom chat, which could be your Notion Pro that you go to every time when you're trying to build up things, talk to it. And now the fact that it has the ability to be able to just like print your screen and send it and say, like, why is this not working? is
So
amazing.
on that point, a heads up from Martin in the chat: do not enter confidential information into ChatGPT because the model saves all user inputs.
Yeah,
Really important thing to
yeah.
remember,
I think a lot of
especially if you're
companies,
using it for work.
yes. So I think a lot of there's companies that just, do not let you go on and use um, your company information or passwords. So you can still get around this quite a bit by sort of, keeping things vague, and then you input the information afterwards. If you are screenshotting, yeah, maybe don't be like, if you are a bit nervous about that, screenshotting um, the actual data. You could maybe potentially just make a duplicate and change a few things or something, or you just take the code and just say like what's not working there. You wouldn't have to necessarily give it everything in there. The other thing that chat has now as well is obviously sometimes you're not always at your computer. So I'll just bring it up on my phone. So there's obviously a chat app. I think it's a bit too bright, but one of the great things with the chat app is it's now kind of like Siri or whatever, is that you can have this conversation going back and forth with your phone. And so let's see if I can turn this person up. Hi, chat. I'm running a workshop on AI and using ChatGPT to help people. Can you introduce yourself and give a helpful tip, and just say hi to everybody? It's just having a little thing. Oh, sorry, I think it's like listening to the typing. Hold on one sec. Hi, chat. I'm here on a workshop with everybody talking about AI. Can you introduce yourself and say hi?
Hi, everyone. I'm ChatGPT, a conversational AI developed by OpenAI. I'm here to chat, answer questions, and help out with a wide range of topics. I'm excited to be part of your workshop today. What are you all discussing about AI? Hello, everyone. I'm Chat.
Okay, and then what are the other things? Hi, chat. I'm speaking with somebody who talks French. When I speak, can you translate what I'm talking into French for me so that they can understand? So let me just do that one more time because it just keeps picking up. Hi, chat. I'm speaking to somebody who speaks French. I don't speak French, so can you translate what I'm saying into French for me?
Of course. Just let me know what you'd like to say, and I'll translate it into French for you.
Can you say good morning, everybody, and welcome to this class on ChatGPT?
Sure. En French, you would say Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à ce cours sur ChatGPT.
So there's so many things like that that just blow me away. If you're not, like really optimizing and using ChatGPT, can just now there are just so many abilities to do it. So one of the things I like to do as well is not just have a French teacher or something, is, if you've set up one of these custom chats and you have someone like a business mentor or, you can have this conversation going back and forth with them actually as a person. You can customize how you want them to sound. You can also now, with the photos, when I was dragging the photos into ChatGPT on the computer and saying, I have a problem, help me with this. You can also now bring ChatGPT from your phone onto your camera, and you can video something around and you can say, hey, chat, I'm having a problem with this. And maybe you're building something physically. It has the ability to actually analyze the video and analyze the photo or what it is that you can see, and then improve that. When they did the live demo for it, they had people saying, hey, chat, can you analyze my outfit and tell me how I can improve it, for my color code or something. So it gets quite fun, but very, very, very helpful with that. So the translation thing is incredible too, because you can then have it go two ways. So you can just have chat sitting on the table and you can say, I'm going to speak English, translate it into French. And when someone speaks French, translate it into English. And then it will work as a co-translator going back and forth.
Hmm. Um, keeping an eye on time, there was a quick follow-up to the ChatGPT confidential information with a question about the security of data in Notion, if you know anything about that,
Yeah,
Becky.
so Notion, again, it really like I've done it with a couple of people, like built internal operating systems for their businesses on it. So what we talked about with the company is just, what do you want to be transparent about? So these particular like operating systems and putting things out, actually we really wanted the wider community to be able to see how the business was operating and to see the transparency of like, yeah, we do have these things in place. So we weren't putting on there really, really confidential information, potentially maybe customer information. I wouldn't put that on there and then share it. Internally, if you were using it as your own CRM, then I think it's just a personal choice. I've looked into it a bit because I store CRM and things on there. But I think that would just be a personal choice. Yeah, company, I think, I would just look into things. But it's just as anything, like anything these days could potentially, get leaked or hacked or things.
Hmm.
So I think it's more about also having things like double authenticator set up if you're nervous and doing some personal due diligence around it. Yeah.
Mark has just shared in the chat an intro to GPT 4.0 by the ChatGPT Chief Technology Officer, Mira
Yeah,
Murati.
yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, so definitely encourage anyone to like go and have a look. And if you are intimidated by, all that, whether you're new to chat or whether you're a pro at chat, because even for me, there's still so much that, it can do, is get chat to walk you through it. Tell chat where you are on your journey. Hey chat, I'm totally new, or hey chat, I've been using you for a while now, and this is what I use you for. And then tell it, create a custom chat of like how you want it to respond. Do you want it to be nice or mean or friendly or direct? And then get it to walk through with you and introduce you to things, and let it teach you. Is probably one of the best thing, the value that you get from it is the teaching that it can do.
Amazing. One thing I like to do at the end of workshops and sessions is ask people to pop into the chat. What is the biggest thing you got out of today's session? And or what are you going to do as a result of it? Becky, if people want to find out more about you or get in touch,
Yes,
how can they do that?
I'm going to pop the 2 Notion templates in the chat, and I'll also pop my LinkedIn. And so if anybody like wants to reach out to me, it's probably a really good place they can get on touch. Oh, I forgot that. Let me do that.
Awesome.
So, that's now gone to my LinkedIn feed because I didn't say
You posted it in the wrong
it's
place.
just like that's their own LinkedIn feed. Um,
Yeah. And can I
uh,
share your website as well?
yes, yes. And then let me share so this is the company Notion second brain, if anybody wants a copy of what that looks like. And you can basically underneath on the template, I've put a little thing saying full video walkthrough, delete after use. And so there's a video on there that shows you how the whole template works if you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, how you can duplicate it and then use it for yourself. And this is the personal second brain template there as well. So you can just save those URLs and you can duplicate them and play around with them yourself. If you don't duplicate it, you can't edit it or play around with it. So you have to kind of like make your own version, and then you can just delete things and move stuff around.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Becky. That's been amazing. People are starting to put their insights into the
Into
chat,
chat,
not
yeah,
chat.
into the chat.
That's getting to me. Thank you to Tech Week for helping us put this on. Startup Dunedin offers free 15-minute check-ins for anyone who's building anything, whether it's a side hustle or it's up to a globally scalable tech startup. Free 15-minute check-ins for anyone who lives in Dunedin. And if you're outside Dunedin, there is a similar service with Startup Aotearoa. You can book in and speak to live people coaches who maybe will help you set up your own ChatGPT business coach. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. Thank you again to Becky. This has been amazing. And hope everyone has a great Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you all. Bye. Bye.